Monday, May 18th. I am back here on Scouting the League. It's good to be back with you, talking all things scouting as we continue to look forward to the 2027 draft with our Tuesday Scouting Trait Series as we start talking about players that we expect to be in that 2027 class. A really exciting edge that we'll talk about tomorrow. Really appreciate Neil holding down the fort. That conversation with Mike Tannenbaum of the 33rd team, always fascinating. Mike's doing great work over there. Definitely lots of interesting stuff. So make sure you head back and listen to that one. Give us follows, likes, subscribe, shares wherever you're listening and watching these episodes. Love getting the film up with our Tuesday Scouting series, talking about those players, not just about the traits, but looking a little bit of that film as well. Great spot to get it over on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing there. That's one that really helps us out with our Wednesday guests that we have coming up throughout the summer. Head coaches, GMs, people from across the football world are going to be really excited to bring you more and more of those. So make sure you're sticking around, tuning in as you get a little bit of vacation time this summer. Again, a great way to listen, to follow wherever you are at. As we jump into a topic that was in this last week's Friday wrap from Neil Stratton. Again, it has been we'll call kind of a pet project, something that I've been really pushing, again, with NFL front offices, with everybody I talk to, the evaluation and development for people, scouts specifically, because I think and I will go beyond think, I know it is sorely lacking with a bunch of NFL teams. I have had people tell me, hey, yeah, we're trying to figure it out. Again, comes down to dollars and cents. It comes down to priorities. It comes down to priority being we want to develop and train people to have the best staff. Again, just like coaches, scouts can be developed, be taken a long way. Again, you've got to have some turnover there sometimes. It can be ugly. It can come hard. We're seeing that in front offices right now where the turnover is happening. But again, we're going to talk about that more with less, developing and paying your staff. We're going to really talk about that developing and evaluation aspect. Again, want to mention a couple of things here before we jump in. The scouting community is open, thescoutingcommunity.com. If you're a scout or aspiring scout, we're working with a bunch of you guys out there. You want to be in the football world, head over to thescoutingcommunity.com. Send me a message, get signed up. Let's do whatever we can to get you into that personnel role. Maybe it's a coaching role. Maybe I can just connect you with somebody doing some of that as well. So make sure you go check that out and check out our partners over at bluemaca.com. Code scouting20 at checkout for the insoles that will upgrade every pair of shoes you have. Scouting20 will let them know we sent you. Again, Blue Maca insoles, I've got them in multiple pairs of shoes I have everywhere I go. My shoes and feet feel a little bit better as I'm carrying around the new little one. I'm going to have those insoles in to make sure I have some comfort there. Again, one of the great things I get to do is be a dad a third time now. It takes maybe a little away from my schedule. Unfortunately, working for yourself, not a great paternity leave plan. Here I am talking to you guys again on Monday, but really excited to be here, excited for all aspects of everything I'm doing. We'll continue to get Scouting the League back out there. So again, as Neil dove into it this last week, again, more with less, talking to some G5s across the country. Again, a lot of parallels with what NFL front offices are talking about. Again, some general sentiments, some thoughts, some feedback. Again, I'm going to talk about it, again, from an NFL perspective. Again, for anybody out there that's in the scouting world, this is first and foremost. This is front of mind. It has to be made more of a priority. Again, right off the bat, a director of recruiting kind of being that most important person. Again, for NFL scouts, if you want to be a scout and you want to be out front, possibly think about what you actually want to do. Scouts are rarely, if ever, out in front of the camera. You're going to be probably at least a director level or higher. Again, we saw some NFL teams across the NFL put some scouts out front. We're going to let you talk about some of the guys you drafted. That's great. Hopefully there was media training involved, because getting in front of a camera, getting in front of reporters who are going to ask some tough questions, verbalizing it the right way. Again, players are put through it, coaches are put through it. Scouts should be put through some of that media training. If that's something you long for, you want to be out front, everybody needs to know your name and what you're doing. Again, scouting may not be the place for you. It's something I always talk to young, aspiring scouts about. Hey, are you good being in the background in a broom closet with a computer and computer screen to work and to kind of pay your dues along the way. If you want to be out front, again, maybe recruiting is a better spot for you. Maybe coaching is a better spot for you, because scouts, more often than not, the best scouts are ones that want to be behind the scenes, grinding, doing work without anybody ever knowing your name. Again, as far as skills defined, again, the ability to bounce back, to take a chew-in, to get reprimanded for something, again, where I've been there, hey, something I am definitely at fault for, something that went unknown. Again, maybe I had no idea it was part of the job description. That's a different issue. Maybe it was somebody else's slip up, but hey, you happen to be the one in the line fire. You have to be able to sit there, take that thing in stride. I remember being set up, I'll call it that way, by a coach I worked for. Again, got a little bit of a wink after the meeting to, hey, yeah, that was a setup to make a point. Again, I've been on the end of it where, hey, I probably overstepped a little bit, and again, took that reprimand. You take it, you learn from it. But again, it's one of those things that, are you talking about it later? Is there one thing we're forgetting about it? In today's generation, in today's day and age, we are a generation, the younger generation wants feedback, needs feedback. Again, we talk about it from a player standpoint. As scouts, NFL teams have changed, have bent over backwards, have done new things to make sure players are getting the teaching, getting the training, getting the development, the evaluation they need to make sure we get the most out of them. Is that happening for scouts, for aspiring scouts, for people in your front office at a college level? Are you doing things that's going to get them feedback even when it's tough? That tough feedback may end up leading to a new job, to, hey, we've got to reassign you. You're just not taking the steps we need. We are not being efficient. We are not doing the things we do. Again, you do it with the roster, you do it with coaches. Again, all these things, they're, when it's not happening for scouts, maybe it's, hey, well, at least I have a job still. Again, you can't operate that in today's day and age where everything is competition. Everything is 1% better every day. I've seen it at the NFL level. Again, this guy needs to learn this in a year. It's taken him 2.5 years. Again, we've got to move on. We've got to find a new spot. Again, this generation learns, responds, evaluation and development. It's got to happen college and in the NFL. Again, one of the things that scouts love to do is grind tape. Yeah, that's easy to do. One of the easiest parts about being an NFL scout, an area scout, pro scout, is just grind and film, right? Again, I'm just going to put on the film. I'm going to watch guys. I'm going to put my thoughts down. Again, that's easy. That's easy work. Again, identifying traits, putting your information down. Again, that is an easy part of the job. If that is the number one thing you bring to the table, you're not differentiating yourself, which can be really tough to do. If you want to practice being a really good scout, a really good evaluator, ask the questions without ever needing to be somebody vocalizing it. Be a detective. Be somebody that is constantly out there working to get that information. Again, maybe you keep it in your back pocket until the time is right. I remember working at Ohio State. I had something in my back pocket, and when Urban Meyer, head coach, asked the question, it was silent. It was crickets. All of a sudden, I'm able to raise my hand. You gain credibility. Again, maybe it's the one time in 6 months that Urban Meyer heard me talk, but again, that held credibility. The research, the background, without ever anybody knowing it, that is where you gain your value. The grinding tape, yeah, you better be able to do that. That is as easy as pie. You can do that watching TV copy. You find a lot of different ways to do that, but you have to be able to do that research, that detective work, ask the questions that nobody else even thinks about asking, turn over the stones that people don't even know that stone is there. That is where the real skill comes in when it comes to evaluating talent, to being a good scout, a good recruiter, somebody that's going to understand what these players really have. Time will come when the question's answered. You'll have it when it comes down time for it. Scout schools, again, we've seen a couple, renditions of it. We've seen schools do different versions of it, highly publicized on Twitter. Again, good for the school, good for these guys. But again, there is certain baseline of what you need to know when you get there. And again, it's not always about knowing how to evaluate tape or how to grind tape. You need to learn how to evaluate what that team looks for. What traits am I looking for? What is important in our system, in our scheme? you need to have a foundation. Hopefully you have a good football background, but it should be trained. It is one of the craziest concepts to me that there are job requirements, there are job descriptions that we're not going to train you on. Hey, yes, you need to identify good explosiveness. What does good explosiveness look like? What does explosiveness in general? Explosive hips, explosive hands, hand use. What does all this stuff look like on your scale? If you are not investing time in that, then you are setting yourself back. It has to be a part of it. You can't just say, hey, you just weren't good enough at evaluating this thing. You never taught me how. Yes, there has to be a an ability, a natural ability. Not just anybody can scout at a high level. Anybody can learn to scout at least at a baseline level. But again, at the college level, with the way front offices are, certainly at the NFL level, there is going to be a slower learning curve. There is going to be a plateau. There is going to be a ceiling where if you are either not trained, or even no matter how much training you get, there is going to be a limit to what you can do. That is where that evaluation and develop have to go hand in hand. And that goes back to, if you're not doing stuff, training to get your scouts better at what they do, coaches at what they do, cap people at what they do, everybody in your organization, you've got to be either pushing them up. You better know where that plateau is, because there's going to be limits. And hey, there might be somebody else with a higher plateau. Let's upgrade our organization by finding that person. So again, if you have that ability, you got to keep pressing it. Again, last one that Neil talked about, again, kind of that ability, that GM. Again, what are everybody looking for? The answer is saying yes with a smile on your face. There is no job too big, no job too small for anybody at any level. It becomes, again, the higher levels you get to, you're going to have a little bit more defined role. You may not be asked to do stuff, but again, the answer is still yes. If you're getting started, even as an area guy, pro guy, the answer is yes with a smile. Find a way to do it. Find a way to expand what you are doing within your current job scope, because then when you ask for a promotion, when you seek that promotion, say, hey, you've already actually dabbled over here, you've done some stuff over here. You don't ask for responsibility, you get responsibility, you grow it from there. That's all going to be part of it. Neil did a fantastic job asking some of those questions. It's something that is so important. NFL franchises, whoever takes that first step in really investing in evaluation, develop, pay will come along. Your front office is going to be better. It is going to set you apart. It's going to be a trend. Whoever's on the front end of it will have an advantage. Until that time comes, I'm going to keep pressing it. I'm hopefully pressed at the college level, at the NFL level. I'm going to be doing stuff on the outside to at least have the conversation, to connect people where they want to be evaluated, where to get some of these resources, all part of that, the scouting community. So go check that out. Questions, thoughts, comments, who's doing it better, who's not doing it, what NFL teams have completely ignored it. I would put a few names out there, but I'm not going to put them on blast today. Perhaps at some point, let me know at RightStepADV. Leave me all your thoughts, comments. We'll talk about some defensive players in that 2027 draft tomorrow as we continue our trek through summer 2026 here on Scouting the League.